Hi, my name is Jeff Stalnaker, and I'd like to share some of my personal testimony. As a child and through most of my teen years, my mom faithfully took me to church, Sunday school, and vacation Bible school. I participated in Easter pageants and Christmas plays. I sang in cantatas and even performed some solos. In all of this, though, I never received Christ as my Savior. I never had a personal relationship with Him. At about age 12, I did have a close encounter. Going forward to receive communion, as I had done on many occasions, I came under great conviction as the pastor read the passage from 1 Corinthians that talks about receiving communion unworthily. I was unworthy. How could Christ find my presence at His table acceptable? I began to panic. I looked around thinking surely someone would see and step up to help me, but no one did. I was afraid to say anything, embarrassed, and then the moment passed. My conscience bothered me for a few days, but that quickly passed as well. An important takeaway for me in that experience is that anytime there is communion being served or an altar call has been made, we always need to pay attention to see who might be in the middle of a crisis and need some help there. In my later teen years, I rarely attended church. I went on Christmas and Easter and Mother's Day to make my mom happy. At about age 20, I got married. We had a son, and had you asked me, I would have told you that yes, I was a Christian. I believed all the stories that the Bible told. I thought that Jesus was a real person, but I'd never accepted Him as my Savior. My life then was not real happy. I was out of work more than I had a job. The future was uncertain and scary. The summer our son turned 5, I became increasingly worried about him going to school, going out into the world all by himself. And our car was always breaking down, and we had no money to fix it. Everything seemed to be against me. And one of those days when the car was broke down, I was out in the driveway, I suddenly realized I had no hope. And I remember standing in the driveway and angrily calling out to God, saying, "Why is this all happening to me?" Then I offered Him a hesitant deal. I looked up and I spoke aloud and said, "I'll give you a chance, Lord. I'll go to the little church down the road that Mom used to take me to when I was a child. And if you're real, and if you show up for me, then I'll give up and give you a try." So to convince my wife that we should go, I suggested we get our son involved in Sunday school so that he could make friends and become more sociable before school started that fall. That was only a partial truth, but she agreed. She was wanting to go to church as well. I just didn't know it yet. So we went, and God showed up. Of course, I now know that He was there already, waiting for us. The discerning pastor began to make an altar call each week. I learned later that altar calls were not all that common in his church. After about 5 weeks, he suggested that if the altar was just seemed too far away, to just slip your hand up during the closing prayer, and he would be praying for you. I slipped my hand up. My wife did as well, but neither of us saw the other do that. God had me at that point. I just didn't know it yet. The next Sunday, I could resist no longer. As the invitation was given, I rushed forward in surrender, not really knowing what else to expect. Kneeling at the altar, I realized my wife was kneeling near me, and I thought that was a little odd because we hadn't talked about this was going to happen, and I wondered why she would have come up there because I had. Turns out that she came forward on her own, and she was also surrendering her heart as well. It was probably a very good thing because had one of us gotten saved and not the other, I'm not sure how compatible we would have been at that time. So the pastor talked with me and prayed with me, and he helped me understand what was going on and who Jesus Christ really is. And so that day, I received Christ as my Savior. My wife did as well, and we were both baptized the following Sunday. I was about 26 at that time. Since then, my walk with Christ has had some highs and lows. I've had periods of weakness and some backsliding. At all times, though, Christ has been here for me, extending His grace and His forgiveness no matter what I've done. He's never failed me. I now trust Him completely in all of my life. I've come to realize that surrendering to Christ is a daily choice, and with His help and by His grace, I continue to choose Him every day. Just as my coming to Christ for salvation was a long journey, so too was my hearing and understanding of God's call to ministry. I hesitated, I doubted, I looked for some kind of confirming sign. Through all this, God dealt with me very patiently, very graciously, always reassuring me every step of the way, allowing me to take my time and to freely choose to answer his call. He has always lovingly drawn me closer to himself and closer to who he wants me to be. I am now humbled and blessed to be considered for ordination in the Free Methodist Church. Thank you.